Hi, welcome back.
Hi, welcome back.
Inspiration Education,
Here we
episode 12.
12. 12. 12. I love it.
And today we want to talk about Socratic Seminars.
Exciting. Super stoked for you guys to see this.
Yes, and so probably you've heard about Socratic Seminars before. Some of you have probably tried them. Some of you are like, not so sure, want to try it, but I don't really know what that is. Socratic Seminars were actually named after Socrates.
Really? After Socrates?
Imagine
that. Carry on. Sorry, had to be snarky. Go.
So he, back in his day, he had this unusual, in that day it seemed to be unusual way of trying to teach his students, in that he wanted to encourage them to think for themselves and to be critical, independent learners.
Right.
Rather than just write down what I think is right, what I think is right, and learn it, and memorize it, and then just regurgitate it.
How did we get away from that? That's another whole story, but I mean, that's been around for how long, right? And we basically drummed that out of our school culture. Pretty cool. Okay, carry on. Yeah.
So that's kind of the point. Well, there's many points, and we'll talk about more of that. But that's the history behind where Socratic Seminars come from. So here we are today.
It's the first time I've ever done this, and she's the pro, and I'm not.
Socratic Seminars.
So cool.
And so this is the biology class, right?
Yes, correct.
And so what are they trying to? What is the essential question that they are trying to discuss?
Should energy drinks be regulated?
And what kind of prep work did they do in order to have this Socratic seminar and be able to speak intelligently about it?
So they did a laboratory using cells. So they actually on their own, they decided what energy drinks they wanted to use and why. So they had to come up with a reason why they wanted to do it. So some of them wanted to examine the effects perhaps by caffeine, by sugars, or pH, and that kind of thing. Then they also did internet research. And they got to choose whatever they wanted to research on. I didn't tell them what to research on. Though I did hint at them that they should probably think about the impact of, what are the ingredients, what might be the impact on human systems, body systems, that kind of thing. Yeah. Then we also had a guest nutritionist come in, and she did not lecture. What she did is it was Q&A. They drove the entire discussion with her, which was actually really, really cool. That was a highlight of this whole thing, was having her come in. And she was so impressed with how they peppered her with questions. So again, they came up with all of the things they wanted to learn about. I didn't tell them what they needed to know. All right. Should energy drinks be regulated? There's your driving question. Ready to go?
Some sugars are good, but then there are the sugars that aren't bad, which are in energy drinks and sodas and stuff like that. But there's obviously natural sugars what are good for you, like fruits and stuff like that.
So basically what Hope said is that natural sugars can be good, but I think in most of the energy drinks, the highest amount of sugar is processed and unnatural sugar, like high fructose corn syrup, and just plain old white sugar, which is obviously bad.
So I googled what it meant, and it said that it's like a membranous membrane had like a bunch of cells contained into it, so it was pretty bad side effects.
What I found really interesting on this one website, it said that a cell grows better in a pH level of around 7.38 to 7.87, and in the body armor it was the pH level was 4.0, and the water had a pH level of 7.5, which is in the maximum growth range. So
for us, we did Sprite and Mountain Dew, and we did pH before and after. For Sprite, it was before pH was 3.5 for Sprite, and then after it was more it was 5, and then Mountain Dew was less. So it's first it was 5, and then pH after was 4. That kind of.
So the acidity kind of increased. Well, it became more acidic.
Yeah.
I think the actual sugars really affected the egg too, because once you felt it, if you broke it open, the yolk. So previously, the yolk from the egg that was in the corn syrup, it was a lot more kind of firm and not as not as soft and squishy. So I think the sugars really had the big effect on that. And then when we did our experiment, I think it was the Red Bull, maybe? I don't know, I'll have to look. We did Red Bull and Coke. So one of them had a different effect on the yolk. So it was kind of like the corn syrup and the distilled water one.
All right, coaching break. Go.
I did it.
Coaching break.
This steak, is that because it slows it down if you don't start talking about things like this, you have like a lot of good stuff you can say.
So it can change your heat color too for the system, body system. And you can change also cells color.
Something that's unusual that how you're running your Socratic seminars, having the coaching buddy thing. What's that all about?
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I found it on the internet, okay? These kids have never done it before, so I thought it would be interesting for two reasons. One, I could level the differentiation. So I have some kids who need coaching, and so I thought that this would be really helpful for them to help level their conversation. So this morning in my first period, I did that, and there was a particular kid who she just shined. You know, she has a hard time speaking and so on, and she rocked it. I was so proud of her, and the boys who coached her did a really, really good job. So it was cool to see how that peer interaction can be really powerful.
And this is also, I think, probably the coaching thing is a good stepping stone for upperclassmen. Socratic seminars.
Show leadership.
They're a little less, they have no shame. They'll just go ahead and speak and have no problems with it. Where your underclassmen are a little unsure of themselves, and so they need a little guidance and lecture like peer support.
Right, because these are freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
So if I'm in Boston, then yeah, I would probably have a bit of a problem. But I would still probably turn the other cheek, as Jesus commands us to as Christians. But if I were living somewhere else, I wouldn't have done anything.
So if you say we're living in Virginia,
Yeah.
and your brother was living in Boston,
Mhm.
would you not want to do something to like help your brother?
That's his choice. He's his own person.
Really?
He's his own person.
Well, they didn't really have an option to leave Boston either.
I'm taking care of me and my family. That's my priority. My
Your
priority.
brother's your family. What's your bro-
So, what are Socratic seminars intended for?
Yeah. Socratic seminars are there to help you to engage in thoughtful conversations, allow the students to engage in thoughtful conversations. It's there to help the students gain a deeper understanding of like complex ideas or questions. So, like, for example, in my class, you saw a really quick snippet of my class. But the question that they were trying to answer, which we had done a lot of research on in the class, was Thomas Paine's Common Sense. We were studying the Revolutionary War, and the question was, would that pamphlet would it have convinced you as a colonist to separate from Mother England or not? And that's a huge question.
What a great question.
And there is no right or wrong.
So for me, this was actually a wonderful new world, because I teach biology, right? Osmosis, yay, movement of water particles across the membrane, yay. And I've done this lab for years where, a nerd alert, where we take decalcified eggs and we put them in solutions. And it's kind of this famous lab I did. I've been doing it for years, and they would write a lab report on it, but it never had context. And thus it had no real life meaning. So this year I proposed a driving question. Should energy drinks be regulated?
Well, and by context, you mean we're not just doing this egg lab.
Yeah.
Why is this egg lab, why is this relevant in my life?
Exactly. Yes. Why does osmosis even matter? Okay, thanks for mentioning this real cool thing that cells can do. But now I actually have a visual for it. I have a placement in my own heart and mind about, it might impact my body systems. It might, impact other things that I wasn't even aware of.
Right.
So now I've put it into a real world situation.
Right. And that's really, if you want to have a really good Socratic seminar, you have to be able to try to make it relatable. And the question has to be a big essential question. Speaking as a history teacher, big essential questions could be, should we have dropped the atomic bomb? Right? There is no answer to that there's no like right or wrong answer. You have to take in all kinds of different cultural perspectives from that. and have a lot of information behind it. And so then
Yeah.
you saw the students in the Socratic Seminars in her class with their notes out, and they could reference their notes. They always, you want to look to have them
Cite sources.
Exactly, cite sources. They can't just speak off the cuff about my opinion,
Or
right?
make stuff up.
Yeah.
If you will. They actually have to have something substantial to support what they're trying to say.
Right.
Talk about what happened in your class, in your government class this week. I think it was government, where they're like, okay, I want you guys to do this, but a student came up and said, why don't we just do it Socratic seminar style?
Oh, yeah. So there's the government students that I have are seniors, and so they spent last year with me learning how to do Socratic seminars, and I am prepping them for a sub next week. And I said, when the sub comes in, I would like for you guys to discuss this bit of information that they're working on in their paper.
For a sub. Okay, this is so cool.
Yeah, so I want you, when the sub comes in, I want you all to discuss this particular piece of their paper. And then 5 minutes later, a student comes up to me and says, Mrs. Thomas, can't we do it in Socratic seminar style? And I'm like, oh, why are you much smarter than I am?
Right? How cool is that? And talk about student-owned learning, directed learning, right? That well done.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Can't even take the credit for that one. But
well, we trained them up, right? And
yeah.
And then you're starting to see the trickle-down fruits of that. So there's a little encouragement to you guys that give it time, because it'll feel awkward. When I first started doing it, it was like,
tell them about.
My goodness, it was just really awkward, and we just sat there and were like, okay. And then finally someone talked. But now as seniors, then they know the expectations, and it feels very natural to them, right?
Yeah. So please don't get discouraged if you watch this video and you're like, did I say video? If you watch this video and you're like, yes, I'm going to try it, and you go in there and you do it, and you ask the question, you've prepped the students for it, and it's dead silence. You know what I mean? It's like dead silence for minutes. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Just wait, and eventually you'll have that one student that's not afraid to talk jump in, and then before you know it, the kids really start talking, and that's the magic. If you don't say anything.
Yep.
Because that's the point, is they shouldn't, at that point, they're not learning from, you've given them the tools to learn. Now they're talking with their peers, because remember, the person who's doing the talking is the one
doing the learning.
Yes. So
yeah, awesome.
Okay, so I think that's it. Try a Socratic seminar out. Remember, it's based on an essential question. You use collaboration in that. It's a great place for students to learn about other people's opinions and have respectful conversations about that.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yep. And
it's authentic literacy.
Yeah, let us know how it turns out.
Okay. Peace.
Bye.